We encourage parents to read to their children even when they're infants, because that affects how they learn, and because they develop that awareness to sounds, and that will help them as they grow older and they start learning to read. So it's important to understand that reading does not happen naturally. Reading must be taught explicitly, and that takes skill, it takes work. So there is a lot that you can do at home to help that happen. Reading begins with phonological awareness. Phonological awareness is the foundation of reading. It's a critical early literacy skill that helps children recognize sounds in the environment and the sound of spoken language. It's made up of a group of skills. So it begins, as you see in this visual that you see on the screen, it begins with listening. When children are early on, we want to help them become aware of sounds, different sounds in the environment. So simple things that you can do at home. You can, like using a couple of containers, that you could put some change in one container and maybe a couple of marbles in another container, and have them distinguish between which one is which. These kind of activities help children to discriminate sounds. What is the difference? That's important, because when they start to learn the sounds of the letters make, they will start to pay attention to the differences in the sounds that are made by letters. So early on, we want to encourage listening, differentiating different sounds. And then we do things like rhyming. So rhyming words like cat and bat and hat, and reading those nursery rhymes where the words end with the same sound, that have the same middle and ending sounds. Again, those kind of activities help children to develop a strong awareness of sounds. Alliteration is saying sentences that have the same beginning sound, like silly, Sally, sat, and sand. Something like that. So those kind of fun activities help children. So we go from the big to the small. So what do we mean by that? Now we go into sentence segmentation. So the boy is bouncing the ball. So how many words do you hear in that sentence? The boy is bouncing the ball. Okay, the boy is bouncing the ball. 6 words. So children begin to recognize there are 6 words in that sentence. And then we start to look at the syllables in the word. Now we're looking at just the word. So computer. So there are 3 syllables in the word. And then we start to go further and divide up the word, like when we talk about onset and rhyme, that's basically like dividing up the word up to the vowels. So cat, k, at, is the onset, at is the rhyme. And then we finally get to phonemes. Phonemes are the most complex part of phonological awareness. Now we're looking at the individual sounds in the word. So now I can help the child segment the sound in the word. So cat, again, k, at. There are 3 sounds in the word cat. So being able to now just segment the specific sounds or the individual sounds in the word. And that's the most complex skill in phonological awareness. Now, when we're talking about phonemes, we're talking about phonemic awareness. And that's the ability to manipulate or change individual sounds in the spoken word. So I can maybe change the instead of saying cat, I want to change cat to mat. Which sound did I change? I changed the first sound in the word from cat to mat, or I can change the ending sound or the middle sound. Being able to change the sounds in the word, that's manipulation. When children are able to do that, that helps them. That will really set them up for reading success later. So one of the activities, a wonderful activity that you can do with your child is using Elkoning boxes. So Elkoning boxes are basically these squares. And as you can see in the picture there, you can use marbles or coins or markers to represent each sound that the child hears in the word. So if I say chip, ch, ip, there are three sounds in the word chip. Remember, we're listening to the sounds. Ch, and now using a marble for each, or a coin for each sound that the child hears, puts a sound, one marble in each box to represent each sound. There are 44 phonemes in English, but only 26 letters to represent those phonemes. So that's why it's so important. So as you see on the slide, like for instance, the word stuck. There are 5 letters in the word stuck, right? But there is only 4 phonemes. So like the digraph CK at the end of the word there is represented by 2 letters, but it's only 1 sound, okay? So that's why again, the encoding boxes are so good, because they help the children see that one box stands for 1 sound. So phonemic awareness is really one of the strongest, if not the strongest, predictor of students' reading ability. And the lack of phonemic awareness is the most powerful determinant of the likelihood of the failure to read. So that's why it's so important that we focus and try to do a lot of activities with children to help promote their phonemic awareness. All right, so there are phonemic awareness and phonological awareness it's not the same thing of phonics. So very simply, when we talk about phonological awareness, we're talking basically about the sounds, what we hear, the speech sounds. Phonics is now putting letters to the speech sounds. So when we start talking about the letters that represent the speech sounds, that's what phonics is. So they are related, but they're not exactly the same, but they are definitely related in how children learn to read. Okay, so here's another interesting visual that you can use to show this. So the first one there looks like a hamburger bun, a hamburger. So the top bun shows there the sounds. You see the mouth saying the sound, hearing the sound, but there is no print. And then now we start to look at the letters that represent each sound. And now, as you see there in the bottom, like the word spoon, spoon is written with 2 O's, okay, to make up the oo sound. Okay, that's 1 sound. So you see here, there are 4 sounds in the word spoon, but there are 4 sounds in the word spoon, but 5 letters that we use to spell that word. So some recommendations. So you can ask your child questions about what he or she is learning. Invite your child to explain or teach you something he or she is learning about. So you don't just say, how was school today? Ask specific questions. What did you learn about today? Tell me about something that you learned about, and have your child explain what they're learning about to you. Encourage your child to choose books based on interest and topic and text type. Make learning fun and game-like. It's important to not just focus on the homework. It's not just like sit down and do your homework, but you could also do activities. There are a lot of activities that are fun and interesting and interactive, but at the same time, it's the child is learning, and they're having a lot of fun. And there are a lot of virtual things that you can, activities that are available for you to use that you can do with your child. Encourage and create a print-rich environment for your child. That means have things available. If you want your child to write, then have things that they can write with. Have different types of paper. Write with your child. Have books available. If you want your child to read, then you also should model that reading is important and reading is fun. And so don't just tell them to do something if you don't model it yourself, or you don't show them how valuable it is as well. So a couple of things. So don't tell your child to read words that they don't know by guessing from the pictures. Okay, that's not a good strategy. We don't want the child to look at the picture when they don't know how to read a word. Instead, we want them to sound out the letters or the letter combinations in the word. It's very important to put their eyes on the word and sound out the letters so that they can read the words. Children that get used to looking at the pictures, that's not reading. They're really it's really deception because they're not really reading. It's pretending. Okay, they're guessing from the picture what the word is and not really reading the words. Also, and I know some teachers do this, they send home a list of words for the child to memorize. So say, your child should know all these sight words. We don't want children to just memorize words without knowing why they are learning those words. So words that have irregular patterns, we want to teach them specifically what is the irregular part in the word. Why is that word irregular? Like the word have, for instance, because it is irregular because it ends in an E, so it's not have, it's have. So we want to make sure they understand why that word is irregular. So it's important to focus on that. So it's not, we don't want them to just memorize, especially children who are very young and beginning, like in kindergarten. Instead, we can have them learn 10 to 15 pre-reading high frequency words. High frequency words are words that we see a lot in print, like the words the and can and and others and are. Those are words that appear a lot in text. So we want to make sure that they learn those words so that they can start to read, but only not before they know all the letter names. Okay, and not before the child can start phonics instruction. You are your child's first teacher, which I think you already know. But what we want you to understand is that you have tools available to you and you have resources, and many, many resources that are free and fun and easy to use. And you can do a lot at home to set your child up for success when they enter school.